Welcome back, guys, for another Final Fantasy Brave Exvius banner review. This is going to be obviously the Final Fantasy 3 banner coming out today. Awaken Onion Knight and Hein. I think it's Hein. That's how I'm going to say it. We're going to be going over this banner today for new players, veteran players, anyone looking forward to this banner. Just information about the banner. We'll be covering all of that stuff for you guys today. Before we get in there, I want to say thank you guys once again who like and comment on the videos. It's also two things. Helps out the video, and I also do like reading all you guys' responses, like you guys commenting, talking to each other, all that good stuff, whether it's questions or just comments about how much you like it, how much you hate it, you know, who you hope to get, who you're not getting, who you're hoping to get in the future, all that fun stuff. It all helps in discussion, in interaction, or everything in both not only the FFBE community and the YouTube algorithm, but also for, you know, promoting interaction between each other and just in general, and I like that a lot. And then obviously, once again, you guys out there who are supporting me on Patreon, on top of you know, whatever the YouTube videos do get, the pennies per person who I get from ad revenue here. Thank you guys so much for going forth and becoming part of the Patreon as well. Links in the description if that's something that you want to be doing, as well as the ability to become a YouTube channel member. As another avenue that you guys can pick from as well if that's what you want to do there. So thank you guys so much who are supporting the channel in that way, as well as those of you guys out there who are just in here leaving likes and comments. Everything is super amazing to see such a crazy community out there for a you know, for a mobile game. And you know, it's one of the smaller games, one of the smaller communities out there, and it's really hard for YouTube to not put smaller channels into the ground because we're just part of a smaller community. So everything that you can do helps out a ton. But I just want to say thank you guys once again. Let's get into it. Awaken Onion Knight and Hein. I do have some things to say about this banner as well, as so if you're looking out for some things about how I feel about what they did, be sure to stay tuned for that. So let's get into Awaken Onion Knight here. He didn't get changed, no global upgrades, anything like that. I don't know why they don't globally upgrade any of the mainstay Final Fantasy characters. It seems like they only do like you know, Lastwell and you know, Rain and Fina and stuff. They always do like the CG protagonists from FFBE itself get the upgrades, but they haven't really touched any of the main title protagonists for a while. I think they did some very good stuff for Lightning when she came out. She got a crazy good buff. You know, it was some subtle changes, but they changed her in a tiny way that had a large impact on how she could be used and how much damage she did. I think they did a little thing to Bart's, but outside of that, I don't really remember any sort of big upgrades to anyone else. So Awaken Onion Knight didn't get anything, but he is still here. He does have some good equipment to get as well if you're just getting into the game as a TMR here. So the TMR is the Onion Boots. It's an accessory with 40 flat attack and has the additional effect of Onion Command while equipped to your character. This is going to give you 5% MP per turn, but it's also going to give you, most importantly, 50% attack when dual wielding. This is true dual wield for attack. This caps at 200%. So if you're using two weapons, this is going to be one of the mainstay staples. Now, obviously, you don't need this one in particular, but this is going to be one of the couple of accessories in the game that do actually have 50% true dual wield on it. So if you don't have, you know, something like Hermes sandals or some crazy like Raven hearts, etc., then this is something that you could you know, look to maybe throw a couple tickets at, see if you get lucky if you don't want the character for use in particular. He is going to be good though if you want a good physical damage dealer. Now we'll also talk about other damage dealers coming up that you guys should be looking out for on the horizon when we get done going over Onion Knight here. So Super TMR here's Twin Sword Mastery. This gives you 100% attack when dual wielding and gives you 50% attack when equipped with the sword. For a Super TMR, this is really underwhelming to me. Because we have dual form, which is Lightning's, not normal Lightning, but Radiant Lightning's normal TMR, and that already gives a 100% true dual wield. The 50% attack when equipped with a sword isn't that big of a deal if you're using two weapons, which you are when you're dual wielding. It's very, very easy to cap out on your attack, your percent attack, and your true dual wield attack, and then even have materia slots open for some killers, and even like maybe even like a tanky materia on top of that. So this isn't that big of a deal. I wouldn't worry about the Super TMR whatsoever for Awaken Onion Knight. He does have a really good weapon selection, as you can see here: bows, staves, rods, even katanas, great swords, swords, daggers, axes, hammers, spears, pretty much anything under the sun, throwing weapons, fist weapons, notably not guns, so you can't put Quicksilver on him, but a lot of other stuff. He has the ability to use armor selection. You can use anything in the game that's not a robe as well. Now, getting into his skills here, we're going to TLDR it really quickly. He has a non-elemental option, which is going to be a Royal Ray. which is not his best thing, but the other thing that he does do, he has Onion Slice and Stardust Ray. His main damage dealing skills are Stardust Ray, and they are elementally locked. And then he's got these Onion Slice skills as well, which you really probably won't be using. They do have the ability to give elemental resistance to your parties. And then on top of that, the elementals that he's locked into, he's got Fire, Water, Wind, and Earth. So his Earth Onion Slice skill, it's going to give you an attack mod, and it's going to give 70% fire resist for 3 turns to your whole party. The modifiers on these elemental skills down here, the Onion Slice ones, are really low, so you're not really going to be using them for damage. They do give a damage multiplier buff for Adept Fire Art, Fire Shredder, and Fire Slice, but it's only 1.0 and it's for 3 turns. It's not that big of a deal, honestly. If you're trying to put that in there to do like a burst damage rotation, you could maybe do it, but honestly, using him in battle, you're not really going to be using him for that 1.0 multiplier. You're just going to ignore this 99% of the time, unless you're looking for these elemental resist buffs. So he's got a fire resist, a water resist, a wind resist, and earth resist buff, basically for 70% for 3 turns to your whole party there. He does have Onion Dissect here, which is a cooldown skill he gets at 6 star. It's a 5-turn cooldown available on turn 5. It's going to be a Stardust Ray Chaining Frame family skill. 1.0 mod, ignore 50% defense on the first 9 hits, and then it's going to be backloaded 7.5, ignore 50% defense to the enemy there. So hefty mod. Because that ignored defense per is going to double both parts of it. And then on top of that, it's going to give you a 2.0 modifier increase to basically all of his skills here, a true onion chop, and then the skills we'll get into for damage dealing at the end here. But that 2.0 mod is going to be a lot larger than 2.0 based on the formula that we'll go over for the skills that he's learning for his damage rotation. Now, he also has these Fire Slice skills, Fire Slice, Water Slice, Arrow Slice, and Stone Slice. These are his imperiling skills here. If you need to imperil with him, they start out at 60% imperil, and then they go to 90%, and then they go to 120%. So they're increasing over time. So the turn you use them, it's only a 60%. The turn after, it's a 90. And then that final time right there, it's going to be a 120 for 2 turns afterwards. So keep that in mind. It's going to be 60, 90, 120 that's going to fall off here. These are Stardust Ray. They do have a really low mod, and that's pretty much all they do. They're not your main damage dealing skill, so you're really kind of wanting an outside imperil. You don't really want to use these because you're really only going to get that 120 imperil for a single turn, and then you got to start all over again. So you're really going to want someone who can imperil fire, water, wind, or earth, or even all 4 of them if you want them to be flexible with all of these skills here. Now, he also has Pungent Onion as a skill here. It's an 80% blind with an attack and magic break of 40%. It also increases the multiplier of Wind Art, Arrow Slice, Fire Slice, Stone Slice, Water Slice, and the Adept skills that we saw earlier by 1.5 for 4 turns. Not that big of a deal. Probably won't use this skill at all. He does have Double Cast right off the gate, which is cool. And then his main damage dealing skills here are the Shredder skills. So we have Fire Shredder, Water Shredder, Arrow Shredder, and Stone Shredder, all Stardust Ray, and they all have the same mod, 0.25 with ignore 50% defense for the first 9 hits, and then that final hit is going to be a 3.8, ignore 50% defense there. So these are really low multipliers. Obviously super low. We're looking for like 25 times mod or higher here in this meta, and you can get these up there, but you're gonna need to stack these multipliers up from his other multiplier increasing skills, and you can do that relatively easily, especially with his limit burst. So don't give up on him quite yet. If you're looking forward to using Onion Knight, he is still really strong, and we're going to explain why. Now, he also has True Onion Chop, which is a little bit stronger multiplier than the elemental locked versions. This is a roll ray, and it is AoE. It's a 0.5 mod in the first 29 hits, ignore 50% defense, and then a 4.0 mod, ignore 50% defense on that final hit. So the ways that all of these skills are lined up, since it's broken down, there's a front end and a back loaded part, and both of those parts ignore 50% defense. Any multiplier increase that's applied to Fire Shredder, Water Shredder, Arrow Shredder, Stone Shredder, True Onion Chop, it's going to get applied 4 times. So if you have like something that buffs it by a 5.0 mod, that's actually going to be a 20.0 mod increase from a single 5.0 mod from another skill. So very strong stuff to look into there. Remember, we already saw a 2.0 one, and he does in fact get a 5.0 mod increase as well. Now, pre-cooking here is a skill he gets available on turn 1, 6-turn cooldown, cures all of his breaks, 200% attack buff for 3 turns to the caster, makes him immune to attack break, it unlocks Triple Onion Sword for 3 turns, and it gives you a 2.0 modifier to all of the skills we just talked about there for 3 turns as well. That multiplier also cannot be dispelled. The final skill we'll talk about here is actually Twin Swords Plus. It's a 2-turn cooldown, available on turn 2. It's a 0.5 multiplier, ignore 50% defense in the first 9 hits, and then a 4.8 multiplier, ignore 50% defense on that final hit there. It does have a 70% defense break attack and magic buff for your whole turn for 1 turn as well. So 70% defense break for a single turn and attack and magic buff for your whole party for 1 turn as well. And this is Stardust Ray. So pretty decent skill. You know, twin swords plus does get multiplier increases as well, as you see pre-cooking has it as well right there. So in the same way it's going to get applied to the other skills, it's going to get applied 4 times to this. So that 2.0 mod from pre-cooking is actually become an 8.0 mod increase total there. So any sort of multiplier increases for this are going to apply quadruply as well. Now moving into his passives here, he does have innate dual wield. He's got attack and defense passives, immune to sleep and confusion. He's got some high tide, HP and MP passive, high at 7%, refresh here to his MP per turn, 50% attack with a sword. He gets fire, water, wind, and earth resist 10% when equipped with a sword. He also gets fire, water, wind, and earth resist 30% on top of that passively. He does have 50% true dual wield from Onion Master at 6-star. He also is going to become immune to blind, paralyze, and petrify. Try to combine those two together. He's going to get another fire, water, wind, and earth resist 30% there as well. So we're at 70% when equipped with a sword. He's going to get some LB per turn. He's going to get the 6 times true multiplier capped when dual wielding, so true dual wield mastery is there as well. And then it says he gets, 20% true dual wield here, and then you need his Trust Master passive equipped to get another 30% right there. So you need his TMR or super TMR on. That's totally fine. His TMR's fantastic. Throw it on there, and he's going to have 100% true dual wield right then and right there, not counting the 50 that you get from actually having his TMR on. So if you have a 7-star version of him, get 2 of his own TMR, and you're going to be capped on his true dual wield needed. Now that's why you can see, like, especially this twin swords mastery, not that great of a thing, and especially not like the greatest thing for him, because you can put this on him, it's going to get that trust passive activated, but then you're just going to have like 2 accessory slots. Just put like something with a little bit higher attack in there, which isn't that big of a deal. I'd rather have the open materia slot for him. That's just personal preference. Now, going down here, he also gets fire, water, wind, and earth resist again, 10% when equipped with a sword. So he obviously wants to have some sort of sword equipped. Put your best sword on him. There's a lot of viable sword options for him out there. Now, do keep in mind, though, if you are using his fire, water, or wind, or earth shredder skills, you're not going to want to use any elemental weapons on him whatsoever unless they are matching elements. So he has a very flexible and elemental damage that he does do, but say you go up against a boss and you need to do, you're trying to do water damage, you have like a lightning weapon equipped, well, now you're going to be doing lightning water damage, and you're going to drop your damage in case you are trying to do that water damage, because you aren't going to have lightning imperil unless you bring a lightning imperil, in which case there's no reason to just use a non-elemental weapon, use a water imperil, and do full damage anyway. So keep that in mind. You're not going to want to, have a elemental weapon on when you're trying to do a different version of elemental damage with his skills. So keep that in mind there. And then he also has unleashed power, because he is a CG protagonist character, which is actually pretty important for him because he starts the battle with his limit burst unleashed, and you can use it right away, and you are going to want to use it right away. You can leave it at level 1 if you want, because the main thing we're getting out of this is that when you pop it off, it's going to be at level 1 a 22.5 times multiplier. At max level, it's going to be a 30.5 multiplier, but it's not really a limit burst damage character. The important part of his limit burst is that it gives a 5 times multiplier increase to all of his skills that we talked about for the most part there. Stone Shredder, all the Shredder skills, his big damage dealing skills there. 5.0 multiplier increase for 5 turns. You can use this at level 1. Or at level 1. You can use it at level 1, yes. You can also use it on turn 1 to get those 5 times multiplier increases for 5 turns. And then you can go ahead and use on turn 2. You'll use pre-cooking to unlock triple cast, give him that 200% attack buff. And then you can start using your imperils if you want to that turn, or you can start doing damage with your shredders, whatever it is that you desire to do there. As you can see, his only imperils, though, in his own kit are from these really weird slice skills. I do not like these skills that much, but you can use them if you want, because remember, right, it auto casts every couple of turns, and wants to LB, right? Unlike turn 1, I would like LB on turn 1 if I was to say so myself. I'd LB for the 5x mod increase. Then turn 2, I'd use pre-cooking to unlock triple cast, and my other action for that turn would probably be the Imperil skill. And then on turn 3, you have triple cast. You have some modifier buffs. Your Imperil's already up to 90% right here. You can triple cast with a 90% Imperil, and then the turn after that, you can triple cast with 120% Imperil right there. So nothing super bad there. You don't need to imbue or anything. You can up his damage though over time if you have someone in your party that can re-imperil for him. You can imperil the first time fine for himself, but after that, every time you go to imperil again, you have to start off at that 60% on like a bursty turn. You don't want to be, triple casting with a 60% imperil. So that's his one weakness. He does have the elemental flexibility, but his imperils are pretty weak as far as uptime of strong imperils go for him. So keep that in mind as well. His multiplier is going to be pretty okay. Even with just the single buff from his limit burst, it's going to increase the mod on his damage dealing skills by 20.0. These are base. Well, this is a 0.5, and this is going to be 7.6. So it's going to be like 8.1. So even with just his limit burst, his damage here for these skills is going to be 28.1, I do believe. 28.1 modifier right there. And then with his cooldown skill, the Onion Dissector, starting turn 5, that's going to give another 2.0, which is actually be 8.0. So you're going to be popping up to, over a 30 times multiplier there, 36 times multiplier. And then if you ever want to stack them up for a big burst turn, you're going to have access to that 30 multiplier we just talked about. So that's gonna be pretty powerful. He is pretty cool. He's pretty strong. You're definitely gonna want someone to imperil for him, and that's gonna be a good time for you guys out there. Now, obviously, you don't need Onion Knight, Awaken Onion Knight. He should have came out a while ago. He would have been even more powerful. He is pretty powerful now, but we have a lot of people that do around the same amount of damage he does, if not more damage. So if you're looking for the latest and greatest, don't go for him. If you're looking for someone to save up to as far as a meta damage dealer, we have Madame Adele floating around. She'll probably get delayed a little bit as well, just like he did. I think he got delayed because they were afraid of him being too powerful, even though like a unit being too powerful really doesn't exist in the game, because you don't really compare units to units as much as you compare units to content. So like there's no reason to really pull for Iron Knight, because like I said, he does a lot of damage, but there's a lot of comparable units to him. It might sound like I'm comparing him to other units. I'm more comparing him to the kind of damage other units do to the bosses that are out right now. If you already have other units that do around the same amount of damage he does, you don't need him, because those units, well, they're already good enough to beat all the trials that are coming out. So you don't need a side grade or upgrade or anything of that nature. So the best thing I can tell you about if you're looking for a new damage dealer, especially a physical one, Madame Adele, even though she'll get delayed a little bit, that's totally fine. She'll be very strong. And then if you want to wait a little bit later than that, obviously we have around, I want to say, what is it, June, July-ish should be the 4th anniversary. That's when we should start getting the Esper units. If you haven't seen those, I have a video on that as well that you can dig up in the playlist section with like Odin Reagan and Shiva Lastful and Ifrit Rain and Bahamut Fina, in all of those good characters. And then we also have CG Squall and CG Advent Children Cloud down the pipeline as well. If you're saving up for big damage dealers to upgrade, that's what you should be looking forwards to in the future. Now, moving away from Awaken Onion Knight, we're going to go on over Hein, the mage here. His TMR is the Tapestry of Chaos. 25% magic when equipped with a rod, 25% magic when equipped with a hat. Fire, Ice, and Lightning resistance increased by 10% when equipped with a rod as well as with a hat. Those do stack. So you have 50% magic and 20% Fire, Ice, and Lightning resist. Pretty cool. Nothing insane though. I don't really care. Super TMR is Hein's hat. Magic 62, Spirit 30, Defense 30, Fire, Ice, and Lightning resist 20% here. Still nothing crazy to talk about as far as TMRs and TMRs. TMRs and Super TMRs are concerned. We already have a bunch of Magic 50%. Yeah, this has Fire, Ice, and Lightning resist. This is pretty cool. If you get it, it'll be awesome. You don't really need to it's not like super crazy like Onion Knights is, right? Onion Knights is like, this is a really good piece of True Dueled accessories, True Dueled equipment. Hein, you can find magic gear pretty much anywhere nowadays. The Fire, Ice, and Lightning resist, not that big of a thing. His weapon selection sucks. It's rods and staves. His armor selection sucks. It's hats, clothing, and robes. Now, moving into his stuff, I do have a big thing to talk about here. His big damage dealing skills we're going to talk about really are these forbidden skills, the Forbidden Incandescence, Glaciation, and Fulmination skills. In JP, these maxed out at 15 times multiplier as well. And they said they were getting a global upgrade. They did get a global upgrade. They got changed from Chaos Wave to Chaos Wave Awakened. That's more of like a quality of life change instead of a global upgrade. That's pretty much where he's at. 15 times multiplier. This is really old. Gentiana, a free unit that came out with King Noctis, does more damage than this guy does, I want to say off the top of my head. His priority is a damage dealing unit. He also has 80% in perils with Frigid, Hex, Fulmin Hex, and Frazzle Hex. 80% in perils here. With fire and ice resistance increase to different elements for your party. He's supposed to be like a support character, for sure. He's supposed to be like a support character. Not that big of a deal, though. You're bringing a mage for a mage. His support really doesn't do all that for me. So he does have Calamitous Curse here. 6-turn cooldown available on turn 1. Big magic buff, 250%. 5 times multiplier increase to his curse skills and his forbidden skills that we just talked about. So he can get them from a 15 times mod up to a 20 times mod. But these only go in there one time. Nothing special with his skills. 20 times mod, not that good for a mage. We're already, you know, hitting higher than that. 27 with Dark Mage Fee and all that good stuff. He does have lightning, ice, and fire, in peril and resistance of 80% for your whole team. Still not the craziest thing there. He's got elemental incarceration here, which has 100% fire, ice, and lightning resistance for 4 turns to your whole party here. And this also unlocks Quadcast, and it also is 100% in peril to those same elements to your enemies. And that's not that big of a deal here for me either. He also has 3 more cooldown skills, which is 100% in peril to either fire, ice, or lightning. And then it's going to be 150% resistance buff to ice, fire, or lightning, depending on which one of these you use here. So these are cool. He's got a lot of elemental resistance stuff. It's just all fire, ice, or lightning. You just need him for fire, ice, and lightning. In JP, I think people used him probably for the Mom and Bomb family trial because those do fire and ice damage. He's probably really cool there. But, you know, you can beat him without that trial. You don't need him for that. And as far as a meta unit, you don't need him at all, honestly. He does have some cool stuff here with his Limit Burst, which is Barrier Shift. It's going to increase fire, ice, and lightning resistance of 100% for 4 turns to your party. It's going to put up a 50% damage mitigation for 4 turns to your party and recover a little bit of MP. This is really cool to have on a mage. His LB doesn't do any damage at all whatsoever. And it doesn't increase his damage at all whatsoever. It doesn't give him magic buff. Doesn't give him, you know, unlock Quadcast again. Doesn't give him any of that stuff. But it is a triple elemental resistance buff, and it's got that nice, cool 50% damage mitigation. The thing is, he's a mage at heart. If he's taken up a slot in your party, it's to do damage. And a lot of the new tanks, most of the new tanks, even like the old tanks like Sieghart, their role on their Limit Burst is to put up the mitigation. Where is it? For your party here. You don't need to be pulling for a mage to do this. It's not your mage's role. That your tank's gonna be able to do it for you anyways, unless you're using some super crazy old tank like Mercenary Ramsey or something, you know, who can't do it, right? Even like old tanks, most of them can, at least for one turn. Mercenary Ramsey is like one of the only ones that I know of that really can, right? People like Bosch can't, but any tanks like newer than that whatsoever, you'll be able to do it. Even if it's just for like one turn for 54%. But the newer tanks, that's the reason why the newer tanks are so strong, is that they take over that role quite easily and they're really good at it. You don't need a mage to do it. I don't like this unit. And honestly, the thing that makes me the angriest about him, upset even, is that as you can see right here, Hein, global upgrade. Global upgrade. Global upgrade. Fulmination, Glaciation, Incandescence. As we can see here, we'll go back 15 times multiplier at max to all enemies for all of them. Hein JP is also a 15 times mod. I know they upgraded it from Cast Wave to Cast Wave Awakened. That's not really an upgrade. That's just like a, that's, you know, maybe that's a downgrade to someone who wants to use Cast Wave instead of Cast Wave Awakened. I don't agree with that being labeled that way. That's just my take on it. I was never going to pull for him anyway, but that's Hein. I wouldn't pull for him at all whatsoever. So that's going to make the banner a lot worse. I don't like that character. I don't like mages in general, and I really don't like him. He's doing modifiers that are really old, really old. We're talking about mage damage multipliers. The amount of damage that he's doing is nowhere near what the, you know, not even like the newest mage, but like the mages we've been getting recently are. So, or not recently, but like over time, right? We have people like Tsukiko's super old, and Tsukiko was doing 11 times mods. He's up to 15, and that's about it. You know, Tsukiko, he's doing a little bit more than Tsukiko mod-wise on his main chaining skills, and she's got that all that free damage that starts at the start of her turn, and way better utility. He's like a worse version of Tsukiko, because his utility isn't that strong. Tsukiko can at least pop off, I think, what is it, like 60-70% breaks for your party and hide, and has all these different HP thresholds and stuff that make her really cool and really unique. Hein doesn't have that, so that's going to make the banner a lot worse. Onion Knight, If you're an Onion Knight fan, he's still gonna be really good. You're gonna get in there, you're gonna like him, you're gonna love him. You don't need to pull from him though. He's not like breaking the meta or anything. He's just doing kind of the same stuff everyone else is doing. Hein, absolute friggin' trash, garbage unit. In my opinion, they didn't do any justice to him whatsoever. And labeling a frame change to an upgrade is a little bit of a stretch, and I don't agree with that practice whatsoever as far as my opinion goes. So that's going to be the banner review for Awakened Onion Knight and Hein. I'm going to take a look at Zonda. He might get his own review for you guys out there because he is a free unit. He's not part of the banner. But thank you guys once again for coming and dropping by, even if you, especially if you had no intention of pulling on this banner. If you just drop by for the support, watch the video, leave a like and a comment. You guys are way above and beyond watching stuff you guys don't even want to watch, I guess. But I do like, you know, hearing even people who aren't planning on pulling the banner, their idea of the unit, where they fall in line with the sort of stuff that's going on in FFB, what they're looking forward to. All that kind of stuff helps me create content too, how you guys are feeling and talking. So you guys are awesome out there. Do leave that comment, leave that like for sure. Let me know what's going on. And then once again, thank you guys so much for the support, especially those of you guys out there becoming the big patron bundles, the monthly bundle and patron, as well as you guys becoming channel members. Hopefully you guys, you enjoying your perks out there. And the more people that join Patreon, the more content we can base around what you guys vote on Patreon, especially if I can start that up again where you guys can vote for, you know, a unit you guys want to see a full in-depth guide about. I would love to do that stuff. It's just not a lot of people watch that content, but if you guys on Patreon want to vote for that content, super awesome. I would love to start that stuff up again, and that would be super fantastic. And then you guys out there, channel members, you guys got your perks as well. You guys are all fantastic. You guys so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.